Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everybody, Speech Mars, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope that you're having a wonderful Wednesday. We have a great show signed up for you today. It is Help. I got to remember the title here. You ever say that? It's like, I got a great show that you can't remember. I thought I put the banner up. That's what I thought I did. Here we go. Help, White America Needs a Black Savior. Okay, I got the spelling wrong on that too. I figured it out. We'll work it out. You guys know it's a work in progress. That's the beauty of live streaming, if you will. So I'm going to touch on a number of things today in a in a relatively short amount of time to kind of give us an understanding or a game plan or really a strategy of what's happening in America today. I had the fortune of having some radio on, the little streaming services. And one song came on, an amazing song. It has always been an amazing song. It is so apropos for what we're going through today. It's Stevie Wonder's Love's in Need of Love. Love's in Need of Love. Now, if you get a chance, thank you, Satana. If you get a chance, that's right, Satana's in the building today. If you get a chance to listen to Love's in Need of Love, it is a love song. It's a sonnet, but it's also a protest song. It also is a prescription for what happens when you turn yourself away from natural beauty, natural love, natural excellence to things that don't have it. And these things try to take ownership of your spirit. This is one aspect of the conversation today. The other part of it is I'm going to, when we come back, I'm gonna explain the video that I want to show. I let Shatana roll it. I'm going to explain the video that I want to show. It was the speech given to Spelman, the keynote speech, Sister Rubia. I always forget her name. Whatever. Okay. In any event, it was the commencement speech that was given, and there's a portion of it that is so powerful. When I say powerful, I mean I'm not hyping this up. The title of the day shows Help, White America is in Need of a Savior. I'm going to go further and say that savior is going to be a black woman. I am thoroughly convinced. Black men, no offense, but we ain't got it. We put ourselves in position. Now we're played out of position. We're talking about these black women going out and doing things. Oh, and I even forgot to turn on the live. I sound like everybody turning on the live. Okay. So let me really even be a little bit more cogent what I'm about to say. We've been talking about Zionism. We've been talking about, of course, the genocide in Gaza. We've been talking about all of these things. But what has been happening, and I have to say this with a sense of urgency, is that we are in a scenario where we were so distracted, we are not protecting black women. We're not protecting the spirit of black women. I just figured it out. A couple shows ago, we talked about how this Israeli attaché talked about the real enemy that Zionism was trying to deal with was black people. Let's go further. It is dealing with black women. Dealing with black women. Because once you get rid of black men, a black woman watches the process. A black woman talks something we don't do as black men. She talks to other black women about, did you see that? Or did you? And they develop core understanding. They develop networks. And these networks throughout time have served to preserve our children. They've given us educational institutions. They've given us dignity, all these type of things. But as you parse it away, the danger right now has to be the black woman. And in the upcoming election, and I'm going to be advocating for this, the vote that will turn this election is not the black vote. It is a black female vote, which is a much more educated vote, much more nuanced vote. And that vote is connected, I want to say, much more to the community than I would say the African-American male vote, because we are in a transition historically where we're trying to be on par with something, if you will, be on par with something that is not that great. White America has turned to black women in particular to provide a moral compass. It has never stopped. It will continue in this situation that we're dealing with two very, very unpopular candidates, whereby the default is one of them is going to win anyway. The difference is you're horrible or you're terrible. Now we find ourselves in a situation where someone on the other side, the enemy, if you will, has figured out that they have to take out the black woman. And we're going to talk about when we come back. Let's roll. This is a Shout Out Show with Preacher Mars. Don't you move. We got a hell of a show. We'll be right back. Okay. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are back. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Before we get into the crux of our show today, I want to give a shout out. First of all, I want to give a shout out to our executive producers, Sister Satana Whitfield. Satana, we give you I don't really give you a hard time when you're on the show. I'm going to tell you that. And I'm going to give you the greeting. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We love when you're on the show, and we miss you when you're not on the show. So thank you so much for being able to join us today. And it's just progress. You're doing big things, and before you blow up and you sign your multi-million-dollar Stephen A. Smith deal, give us a holler. Just check in with us a little bit. I want to give a shout out. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Ree. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. I think she's still on vacation. Peace and blessings to you. Derek, Brother Jawan. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Altaf Rashid. Our Canadian envoy to the show, Mr. 6 o'clock. Straight up, straight down. Make sure the quality of the show is good on this side of the border and the next side of the border. And coming from South Kakalaki, we give a shout out to my main man Eric Carter. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good to see you. And all the way from the Pacific Northwest, my dear sister Janice Tuff. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nice to see you on the set. Let me get to the business of the business. And in the words of Mos Def, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. I am going to encourage everybody to start picking up the pieces of what's going on. Before I do that, I want you to watch this video, just a portion of it. And from that, I think you'll be able to understand where we're going with the crux of this show. Hold on a moment, folks. I didn't put my phone on do not disturb. Sorry about that. So I'm going to ask everybody to watch the video. So, Satana, you want to roll that, or you want me to roll it?
Morrison's Tar Baby in '84, among many other works that grew out of the sisterhood. The point is not simply that the sisterhood made them productive and successful, but that the sisterhood gathered the pieces they were and gave them back in all the right order. As Walker would say in an interview with the late Rudolph Byrd, we thought we must create a space for Black women writers to honor each other, to know each other, so that nothing from outside could make us fight over anything or even feel competitive. This was the sisterhood's purpose, she said. And although they worked mightily to resist competition and ranking, there were, of course, class and generational differences leading to arguments and conflict. As Septima Clark would say in a very different context, don't ever think that everything went right. It didn't. Many times there were failures, but we had to mull over those failures and work until we could get them ironed out. Same with sisterhood. It's not all roses and incense. Sometimes it's thorns and funk. And so, Spelman class of 2027, as you begin your study of sisterhood, I invite you to embrace it all, the sweetness and the bitters. Because the world outside of Spelman gives us very little space or time to savor the complexity of who we are. Above all else, I want to encourage you to be careful with each other so you can be dangerous together. graduating class of 2024, as you complete your studies and navigate new workplaces, professions, cities, and experiences, I want to remind you that Spelman is more than a college. It's a flight school, the NASA for Black women, that imparts not only intellectual skills, but the spiritual audacity to fly in and out of worlds that were not created with you in mind. When you feel weighed down, as we all do, I want to encourage you to dust off your wings, sown by generations of Spelman women over the course of 143 friggin' years, so you can fly and be fly. Remember, too, that despite the social media slogan, "Trust Black women," you, too, have to be trustworthy. Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the Black proponents of Cop City in Atlanta's leadership class. Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the Black woman's hand, ambassador at the UN, voting against a ceasefire in Gaza. That is, our Blackness and our womanness are not in themselves trustworthy if we allow ourselves to be conscripted into positions of power that maintain the oppressive status quo. Our Blackness and womanness are not themselves trustworthy if we support the occupation of Black neighborhoods with so-called better trained police, or remain silent about the genocide of oppressed peoples around the world funded by our tax dollars.
Thank you, Satana. Listen, I talked to a really good friend of mine who's in the political space, working with the Biden campaign, a whole lot of a cadre of geopolitical issues that are around us. And this is the thing that I told this individual, that, yeah, we are no longer, as Blacks, as Muslims, as Black men, as Black, we're not dangerous, because the powers that be could look at us and realize that we're not together, that we don't have a coalition of peace. We don't have a coalition of togetherness, a coalition of urgency to deal with literally anything that's out there. And because we don't have that coalition, we are susceptible to all the things that are coming down the road, from disinformation to AI written scripts to social media campaigns that are fake. They're finding all of this stuff out. Now, I said I was going to make a point of it, and I'm going to give a shout out. Walaikum assalam for two of the country brother Bilal Salahuddin. We hope that our queen is doing well. Tell sister, we hope she's doing well, Sister Sonia. And we have Mufti Abdul J. I killed your name. I'm sorry about that. Walaikum assalam for two of the country beloved. But these things cannot be taken as separate. What that woman just told you, brothers and sisters, was a recipe. And it's a recipe for understanding Black female suffrage here in the United States. The title is White America Needs a Black Savior. Because it's lost its moral compass. Wait a minute. I don't want to say it's lost its moral compass. It never had a moral compass. Anything and everything that had to do in the United States in terms of struggle, equality, and justice, it begins with Black suffrage. And that Black suffrage, of course, it does affect Black men, but it's double on Black women, because the Black woman has to deal with the crazy white man and the crazy Black man who's dealt with the crazy white man coming home. And he's trying to compete with that. She doesn't have a model. She understands that both of these models, in and of their way, are flawed. And that her idea is tied to her womanness. It's tied to protecting the family. It's tied to, I have to uplift this person. I have to uplift this person to put them in a position of leadership. This is the quote of the Black church. This is the nomenclature of the Nation of Islam. These things are not new. The Savior, the Black Savior, is going to be the Black intellectual understanding and awareness that we've got to lift our women up. If you've been sleeping out there, wake the hell up. I'm going to tell you this. I didn't realize it until I started doing my research. I had a feeling, but you always need a feeling. Do your damn homework. You have a case in front of the Supreme Court, going in front of the Supreme Court, that has to do with the organization, a nonprofit organization, giving out grants to Black women entrepreneurs. You say, what does that mean, Preach? It was giving out $20,000 grants to Black women entrepreneurs. Somebody goes, wait a minute, that's unconstitutional. Wait a minute, you're doing that. You're being biased against everybody else who aren't Black women. It is the bias that created this need for the grant in the first place. And at this point in time, aspiring Black female entrepreneurs don't have access to $20,000 grants that can not only spark a business, but it can spark a damn revolution. This is the thing that you have to be clear about. You have to be clear about it, and you have to be loud, brothers and sisters. This whole thing with DEI, it was so much more than the college campuses. You knew that it was going to expand. I knew that it was going to expand. And now it's going to get to the point where the motor of African-American business, which is Black female entrepreneurship, now it has its engine pulled out. Now it's put in neutral. The throttle is pulled. Because think about it. These are $20,000 grants. We're giving away $1 billion in aid, and there's no return on that money. Yet here in the United States, there's a whole legal procedure that's going to happen around these women getting grants. But sister, I'm going to tell y'all something, because I don't want to leave this one out at all. I want everybody to hear this. The okie doke is in effect. The okie doke is in effect. Once you got to the point where you can get people disillusioned with the fact that, am I in a place that actually values the truth? Am I in a place that actually values fairness and justice? And it permeates to the people or the group that doesn't get it, which is Black women, in this case scenario, that the questions being asked are not being answered in a readily available way with transparency. And now what you have is these people, and these people are being moved. Think about it. Think about it. The world needs food. You're going to put handcuffs on the best farmers, right? We need new buildings. You're going to put handcuffs on the best architects. We need better education. You can put handcuffs on the best educators. And that's what's happening right now. America is not interested in producing true and effective leadership. Hasn't been that for a mighty long time. Let's just put that out there first. The second thing is, when you have a consensus of people who don't know what good and effective leadership is, they will settle for anything that's out there. People who get convicted on 34 counts of a crime. People who are sexual offenders. These are people who are out there, but to that group, and I'm going to say this to young Black folks, do your homework. Because you have to understand that the leadership that is out there was something that was better than that. There was something that was far exceeded what's being put out here in terms of opportunities, put out here in terms of options. These are the realities that are facing us right now. There's a joke I wrote years ago. Nobody liked it. The joke goes, there's a pig and there's a chicken. Fox walks into the hen house and they go, what's for dinner? And he goes, ham and eggs. Well, he goes, ham and bacon. And then the hen goes, well, is the bacon halal? And the cow yells, leave me out of it. Understand, and I mean this in the best of ways. What you just saw, watch the whole thing in entirety. Look at 2024 Spelman College commencement speech. And what you're going to see is an evolution of a thought process. When a woman said NASA, Spelman College is the NASA for Black females, she is not lying. Because they're turning out a different type of product down in Atlanta. Howard, I love Howard, but this thing is sisterhood on steroids. And if you can understand that the intellectual capacity that's being proffered here is something that's not getting out, it has to be protected. And I'll put myself in the line of fire saying, hey, we haven't done a great job. We've been so engaged and so caught up in trying to say, well, we got to deal with Biden, we got to deal with Trump, that you miss the fact that in terms of either one of these getting elected, life's going to go on. When you talk about the Alice Walkers and you talk about the Bell Hooks, their genius is they can give you the perspective from a black woman, but any woman can understand and look at it and go, damn, that is universal. Which goes to speak that the message is not universal, but the black woman intellect is universal. Potent. The idea that we have to look at how we care for each other so together we could be dangerous. Are we dangerous now? Are we really dangerous now? If you watch the stuff that comes out of everything about Gaza and then what they're giving you is images of women who are disempowered. They're giving you images of women who are disempowered. And the ones that are powered are powered by, I want to say, a male proclivity to do damage. Not to bring peace, not to bring fairness or equity, but to do damage. And it echoes a male narrative that's been out there for years. Even when you had a Golda Meir, she was basically echoing a narrative, a man narrative of war. So as we sit here, and we need to be very, very clear and honest with ourselves, we haven't done that. I know, and I've caught flack for it. I know I didn't like Biden because of what Biden did to Anita Hill. Not that it was just mean and disrespectful. It was racist. And if you want to understand Biden, watch the old tape. He'll tell you, Israel has no better friend than him. And then Trump is trying to say the same thing. Well, who's the friend? Who's the protector of black female identity? Which to me is female identity, period, here in the United States. Who protects that? Who promotes that? I said early in the broadcast that the black female vote is the most vital thing right now. It can turn elections. Why? Because no one is going to be able to speak to the realities around us as presently constructed. Then that black woman that sits there and talks to her children. Then that black woman in the church or the masjid. Because we listen. We listen. And the people that don't listen to the sisters, guess what? They don't listen to you. And if it does come down to an election and we have to figure out what it is, I'm going to emphasize, inshallah, I'm going to emphasize that, we develop a new consortium, if you will, a new power movement of black women. I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter. I don't even call them Black Lives Matter. I used to call them Black Lives Matter. But I'm talking about a conglomerate of women who are connected to the community, who know how to nurture. Like I love my brothers and sisters, but when it comes to the nurturing game, we are horrible. Our brothers, we know how to build. We don't know how to nurture in the way that our sisters know how to nurture. And this is not being sexist. I'm saying nurturing because they have the least. They have the least of what society can offer. A woman, period, is going to have the least of what society can offer. And the black woman has less than that. In that space, we have to understand that those are where the plants, those are where the seeds are going to be laid. Because Israel, the white supremacy, they know not to go to that black woman. They know that they can't go to that black woman, because to attack that black woman means that that's almost like if somebody, God forbid, did some damage at Mecca. what would happen with the Muslim community? They lose their minds. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. But just the fact that you touch on what is national treasures, international treasures, people tend to look at you differently. Is it any, and you can argue with me if you want to. I agree, Mufti. That was a powerful speech. You can argue with me if you want to. But have you noticed that Israel has not gone after black women who weren't successful? The only one they went after was Candace Parker. And Candace Parker played the game with them anyway, right? But they're not going after black women. Because if you wake, you poke the bear, like I say, if you mess with the bull, you get the horns. And that is the intellectual capacity of black female. And here's the deal, which is beautiful. It's not as prevalent as it used to be, but the thing that's beautiful is when they get information, they're not afraid to share it. This is the black community. When black women get information, they're not afraid to share it. They'll share it with black men, they share it with their children, they'll share it with people who are not black. Because it's a very pure type of intellect that they're trying to give. It lacks competition, if you will. And as we begin to move closer to this election, I think everybody should know and be very, very focused on the fact that, as a community, and I'm going to say this, particularly the Muslim community, I'm talking about protecting African-American sisters, black Muslim sisters, but we've done a poor job. Let me be saying that we don't protect our Muslim women. Let's put that out there. We do not protect our Muslim women. And because we don't protect our Muslim women, we're perceived as weak and ineffectual. We're perceived as moist. We're perceived as scared. We're perceived as culpable in the genocide because we don't stand up and go, hell no. Now, hey, if a man busts in my mama's house, we got a problem. We got a problem. A huge problem. You got a legal problem because you're not going to run up on my mama like that. Now, I know, I'm not tough talking. I'm saying there's a whole lot of brothers and sisters feel that way. You ain't going to disrespect. Forget running up on you ain't going to disrespect my mother. You ain't going to disrespect my grandmother. Why? We are so indebted to these women for what they share and how they nurture us. They give us confidence. They give us awareness. They give us strategy for when we get dragged down because they've been held down for years. That they come up with this alchemy, if you will. They come up with this strategy that grows roses through concrete. And growing roses through concrete is something they've been doing for years. The black savior will be a black woman. I'm just saying this time, just be a black savior for black folk and righteous folk. Not for white American extremism, not for white American exceptionalism. They could go to hell. It's time for us to rise up and let's this election, however it goes, I ain't telling nobody how to vote, but let's vote to build on the tradition of these women because it's real and it's true. Listen, that's a shout out show. You guys been great. Inshallah, I will see you next week. Reporting from Preacher Moss Land here at the SOS. Thank you again. Shout out to everybody. Mansoor, Ali, Permissible Laughter, of course, Candid, Kalen, Colossal Poetry, Crimson Caliph, Hungry Boy, Nadifa, Lady Naj, CW Butter, OG, 1988, Sister Santiago, Zia, B. Takwa, Forever, Jawad, K. Wrights, Ali, I can't pronounce that, Leather Flower Designs, Joan Moran. Oh, somebody said you taking medication. Moran, I don't know what that's all about, bro. Tubbs, mashallah, brother. That's facts. Appreciate you. Ali, the problem is people want to follow law, which forces men to be weak. You got to hit it. Fahad, Morant, there you go, brother. Elected official Morant, you were on one, brother. Muslims voted for Biden, and now he's laughing at our genocide, right? And he ain't trying to do nothing. Look, I'm out of here. Y'all have been tremendous. God bless you. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sister Tough, good to see you in the building. I hope you're doing well. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sign it off.